Hey y'all! Today I'll be taking you through my process of my beautiful art piece, Unidentical Twins. So initially the idea was I was gonna Photoshop the picture. This is the picture that I was gonna Photoshop. So the idea was I would do the jail bars between the lips, and I would have a tongue as a white horse. However, I found it very difficult to edit this on Photoshop. I was mainly used to editing pictures on Paint because I did simple editing like cutting and adding and removing. It was just simple stuff. So I wasn't very familiar with Photoshop. Here you can see the video of my time lapse while working on the picture trying to Photoshop it. Unfortunately, the camera angle was bad and you couldn't see what was going on in the screen. You can see my dad decided to photobomb and he's praying in the background, which is actually very interesting. Poor time management resulted in time constraints, and thus I was unable to master Photoshop and do the picture on Photoshop. As a result, I decided to make a drawing. Here you can see my first trial of the drawing. So I had many previous trials, just trying to learn how to draw the face, but this was my first trial at the actual piece. So this is when I was like, this is what I want my character to look like. I had Drake as a reference, just to have the face outline, where the eyes should be, how the eyes should look like, kind of. I watched a lot of tutorials on how to draw eyes and nose and lips. Like there are many several ways to draw them. So while drawing, you should always have your reference in front of you, and by looking at your reference, you would try to find a tutorial that has a similar nose shape or eye shape, and you would try to follow that. That's basically what I did. And now I'm gonna take you through the steps of how I did my drawing. This is not exactly my drawing, this is another drawing that I did. Just the basic steps of how the head should look like, eyes, nose, mouth, very simple. This is mainly going to show you how to draw the face, and then you can edit the features and add other features such as the earphones that I had and the jail bars on the lips later on. I'll also be showing you the time lapse of me drawing the actual picture. I drew it twice, so there are two time lapses. I'll just show you one of those, and I hope you enjoy the video. So here's the time lapse of me actually drawing my art piece. It is always important to keep your reference in front of you, as I mentioned earlier, and constantly matching it with your actual drawing to see if your alignments are right and all of the features. In addition to that, it is also very useful to watch some tutorials while drawing the features such as the eye and the nose and the lips and all of that. It's very beneficial. Okay, so now I'll take you guys through the steps of how to draw a normal face. So initially you need to draw a circle. The circle will determine the size of the head. Draw a vertical and a horizontal line through the diameter. Now measure half of the vertical line and add it to the bottom. That will determine where your chin should be. Now draw the jawline, connecting the right and the leftmost side of the head to the chin, as seen below. I didn't have my reference there at the time, so it won't look as nice. Now measure the half of the radius from the top, that's where the hairline should be. Then measure half of the radius from the bottom, and that's where your lips will be, and even half of that will show you where your nose should be. Now we're gonna delete the horizontal line because we don't need that anymore, and we're gonna delete the bottom half of the circle because it's also unnecessary. Now it's a common mistake that we tend to draw the eyes way too high, and a study showed that this is why most drawings of faces suck. So try to make your eye line a bit lower. Here you can see the hairline, here's the eye line, and then you have the nose and the lips. Okay, so moving on, we're gonna start by drawing the eyes. So you try to divide the eye line into 5 equal parts, and then you draw your eye. Now you should usually open a tutorial to see how to draw the eye. Mine looked a bit sucky because I wasn't watching the tutorial at the time, so excuse me for that. And then we're gonna add the eyebrows. The eyebrows, I tend to draw just vertical lines and then try to highlight them or give them a shape or a specific border by erasing the top and the bottom to make it look the way I want it to look or to shape it the way I want to shape it. Now we're gonna use the borders of the eyes, the inner borders of the eyes, to determine the boundaries of the nose. Now the nose is very difficult to draw, and in this case it initially showed to be a very fat nose. It doesn't look that good compared to the one in my actual art piece. Now moving on to the lips, right under the nose you want to make a small curve which will identify the bend we have in our lips, and then we will show also the bottom piece of the lip, and then we're gonna give the borders to the edges of the lips. That's usually in between the middle of the eye. That's where it should be for the right side and the left side. And after drawing the lips, just make sure to delete all the additional reference lines that we drew earlier. Now we're gonna draw the hairline. Start with a vertical line, moving then to the right side and the left side of the head, and then highlight the hair the way you want to highlight it. Drake has short hair, so I tried to make it look short. And then you can make different drawings for the hair. If you want to make it look longer, just draw longer hair by watching different tutorials. Now we're adding the sideburns, and we're gonna add some facial hair. So draw the straight line and then just the outline of the way you want the facial hair to look, and then you can color it later to make it look differently. Now, as I mentioned earlier, please don't forget to have your reference in front of you so that the picture actually turns out to be somewhat nice. This is just a rough tutorial of how the face should look like. And yeah, please don't try to make the eyes way too high. Try to make it a bit lower, and feel free to color in the pupils because I love them blank. And yeah, after you have this, you just go ahead and edit the features that you feel need editing the way you want to edit them, or the way they would look or match your reference better. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys found this very beneficial. Oh, actually, I forgot to draw the ears. So we draw the ears from right next to the eyes. That's where we start. Small curve, and then on the other side, just try to make it look symmetrical as possible. And draw a few lines inside the ears to make it look realistic. And then feel free to add other features, just like I added the jail bars and the earphones in later on.